Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. How will Sonny's clean bill of health affect his plans back home? General Hospital spoilers reveal that Sonny Corinthos will be fine, reportedly. His recent heart problems should be a thing of the past after he undergoes this operation to repair the scar tissue from being shot decades ago. But that doesn't mean Sonny hasn't learned a vital lesson along the way, even if we can't quite understand why this lesson struck him now after being presented with it so many times previously. So, what's in store for the mob boss? Will he still want an escape from the mob life? Will he close his drug trafficking company and spend the rest of his life, however long that may be, as an ordinary citizen of Port Charles? Does he even have that option? Sonny had already had a very open chat with Jason Morgan concerning the status of the business. He was certain he would have to retire. His opponents couldn't find out he was in terrible condition because they'd exploit that vulnerability against him and his family. But now that he's returned home feeling stronger than ever, will Sonny forget all about his previous reservations and opt to continue functioning as usual? Spoilers, Jason isn't his way out. It was a lightbulb moment for Sonny to realize that Jason wasn't going to be his way out of trouble. Maybe he didn't give it much thought previously, or maybe he imagined Jason would take up the mantle when it came time for him to retire, but things have changed now. After Sam McCall died, Jason became Danny's primary provider, and he is unwilling to risk hurting him any further than his current profession choice has, nor does he want Danny to lose his only remaining parent. If Sonny hands the torch to someone, it must be someone else entirely. General Hospital spoilers, without power, he's powerless. Sonny's destruction of his empire comes with risks. This could put him and those he cares about at risk of being attacked. Remember when Sonny fell into the river and washed up at Nixon Falls, Pennsylvania, with no memory? Carly Spencer could have quit the business right away if it had been that simple, but doing so would have jeopardized her family's safety. So, how can Sonny actually leave the business now? What happens if he dies someday? He may have to start seriously considering that. Spoilers, are Cody and Molly the next Michael and Sasha? General Hospital spoilers wonders if Cody Bell and Molly Lansing Davis are poised to get into the same sticky situation as Michael Corinthos and Sasha Gilmore Corbin did previously. If you recall, Michael and Sasha's one-night stand began as a shoulder to weep on, but it has since evolved into a baby bombshell that is set to shake Port Charles. Now that Cody and Molly are both drowning in their own problems, may history repeat itself with a connection that results in Molly being pregnant, especially since she has been informed it is practically impossible? Let's take a step back for a moment. Michael and Sasha hit the sheets when they were both at their lowest points, him reeling from the discovery that his wife and uncle were cheating behind his back, and her nursing her own wounds after discovering Cody was her cousin and couldn't be the love of her life anymore. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, a moment of solace, but Sasha became pregnant, and the consequences have been pure soap gold. Fast forward to now, and Cody has been a walking storm cloud since his family crossed paths with Sasha's, while Molly is still dealing with the fallout from her divorce from TJ Ashford and their failed surrogacy. These two have a lot of misery, and if they cross paths at the wrong time, say, over a couple of drinks at the Brown Dog Bar, could they rely too hard on each other and spark a night they'll never forget? Spoilers, Molly has a miracle twist. Molly has been told she can't have children due to endometriosis. That's why she and TJ chose surrogacy, only to have their dream come crashing down in the most painful way possible. She's been grieving that loss on top of her breakup, and Cody is used to feeling like life is kicking him when he's down. If these two lonely souls connect and things get warm, imagine Molly's surprise when she gets a positive pregnancy test. The doctors claimed it couldn't happen, but this sudster enjoys a miracle, right? A surprise baby with Cody might turn Molly's world upside down, as well as TJ's, if he discovers his ex is carrying someone else's child after all of their troubles. Talk about a stomach punch! General Hospital spoilers, heartbreak ahead for TJ. Imagine TJ Ashford's jaw dropping when he learns Molly is pregnant, with Cody's child, no less. After everything they'd been through, the endometriosis diagnosis, the surrogacy nightmare, the baby's death, the split, discovering she's carrying someone else's child would be a dagger to TJ's heart. He's been trying to move on, but this may be too much to handle. This is the type of hit that may devastate him. Will he confront Molly, wanting to know how she could move on so quickly, or will he sink into quiet, saddened by the thought that she is receiving the miracle they have always desired, but not with him? So what about Cody? Will TJ perceive him as the guy who stole his dream, or as just another victim of Molly's rebound? The heartbreak will hit TJ like a freight train, and we're predicting he won't take it calmly. Could this motivate him to fight for a reunion with Molly so they can raise the child together, or will it send him into a retribution spiral? GH Spoilers Weekly Update February 24th to 28th, Molly Bonds, Joss Choice, Jason's Mess, and Olivia's Pitch. General Hospital spoilers are out for the week of February 24th, 2025. Next week, Molly Lansing Davis is expected to open up to Cody Bell. Jocelyn Jax makes a life-changing decision. The walls are closing in on Jason Morgan. Olivia Quartermaine makes a pitch. Molly Lansing Davis bonds. Since the end of her relationship with TJ Ashford, Molly has been getting to know Cody. Molly and Cody's beginning was not particularly pleasant. Then another encounter on the roof turned out to be quite amusing. Molly and Cody will now meet again. This time, Molly will be open to him. Molly had a heated conversation with Christina Corinthos Davis. Christina informs Molly that she will never trust the system again. Christina will have another unpleasant experience with Ava Jerome in the next week. Jocelyn Jack's decision over with Jocelyn, she has a lot to consider. Jocelyn killed Cyrus Renault for self-defense. Then Jocelyn contacted Jack Brennan, who cleaned up the mess. Later, Brennan invited Jocelyn to join the WSB. Brennan appears certain that Joss will eventually come to them, despite the fact that she has not responded. However, Jocelyn will be questioned by Trina Robinson, who suspects her BFF is harboring secrets. Lois Chirulo's Panic General Hospital spoilers state that fans will find out what happens when Brooklyn Quartermaine informs her mother. Brooklyn proudly reveals that she has told Harrison Chase everything about her underage pregnancy. Lois' jaw drops open when BLQ elaborates. Later, Chase suggests that BLQ look for her kid. Of course, Lois has gone to great lengths to ensure that no one finds out that Giovanni Gio Palmieri is the son of BLQ and Dante Falconeri. But secrets do eventually come out. Sonny Corinthos and Laura Collins will reconnect next week, on February 24th, 2025. Lulu Spencer becomes suspicious. The walls are closing in on Jason. Even though Jason did not kill Cyrus, he could be implicated. Olivia proposes an idea to Carly Spencer. Later, Carly talks about her relationship with Brennan. Then Carly pleads Willow Tate Corinthos. It is also implied that Nina Reeves irritates Drew Kane Quartermaine. Which narrative are you looking forward to the most? Does Lucky die in General Hospital? Following Cyrus and Lucky's violent conflict, General Hospital left viewers with a cliffhanger. Lucky broke into Elizabeth's door perfectly on cue as he tried to inject her with Digitalis. He's always saved her, but will it cost him his life? When Elizabeth left Cyrus, he and Lucky began to argue. Unfortunately, while Elizabeth sought for assistance, Cyrus was able to stab Lucky in the thigh with the syringe. Will Lucky die, as Sam and Dex did? Will Lucky die? Fortunately, we have good news for General Hospital watchers about Lucky. Given that Jonathan Jackson's recasting is only temporary, we know Lucky isn't going anywhere. Guy Wilson is standing in for a few episodes, which coincides with Lucky and Elizabeth's first kiss since his return. We don't know exactly what the Digitalis does to Lucky, but we know it doesn't kill him. The cliffhanger and promo for the next episode featured Elizabeth beseeching him to hold on. What happens to Cyrus? After sticking Lucky with the needle, Cyrus left Elizabeth's house and most likely returned to Austin's cabin. We assume Brennan received the call after Joss discovered Cyrus hiding. She went there after Trina had departed to meet Kai. A photo of Cyrus in the cabin door has circulated, and he appears to be staring at Joss. Cyrus' character has already run its course, so saying farewell to him will not be a loss for anyone in Port Charles. We suspected he was utilized for a whodunit that would run through the May sweeps, but this may not be the case. Could Brennan get to the cabin in time to save Joss and send Cyrus to meet his maker? Given the date and his decision to leave his evening with Carly, it is feasible. The writers have multiple alternatives here, and while a whodunit would add so much to the storyline, we'll have to wait and see what they come up with as the end of February sweeps approaches. Do you think Dex was Cyrus' last victim, or will he claim one more before being slain or imprisoned? The air in Port Charles was constantly thick with suspense, as if the city thrived on mystery, deception, and the unexpected. For Sasha Gilmore Corbin, life had never been a straight line, it was always twisting, full of unexpected turns, grief, and fleeting moments of bliss that never seemed to stick. And now, as she stood on the verge of yet another storm, she couldn't help but worry whether she'd ever find stable ground again. Pregnancy was supposed to be a time of joy and hopeful anticipation. Most women associate the concept of bringing a new life into the world with nursery decor and joyous family gatherings. But for Sasha, things were different. Every step of this journey had been clouded by the weight of concealment, the continual concern that her truth would be revealed. And suddenly she was caught off guard in a way she had not imagined. Elaine Smith, a professional investigator hired by Martin Gray to gather information on Michael Corinthos, had manipulated her with skill. Elaine had directed the conversation exactly where she wanted it to go by pretending it was a casual encounter and baiting it with a lovely puppy. Sasha had initially thought nothing of it. Just a casual conversation about pregnancy, which she had already been compelled to address more than she wanted to. But before she realized it, she'd shared something she hadn't meant to, her due date. July 23rd. It appeared to be harmless enough. A simple date. But Sasha knew better. A countdown to the unpredictable Port Charles has a knack of making sure things never went as planned. And if there was one thing she had learned from soap opera pregnancies, it was that babies never came on time. Most women had a meticulously planned hospital birth, complete with doctors, nurses, and the greatest medical care available. However, in her world, things did not function that way. No, newborns in Port Charles came early. They arrived in the worst of circumstances, sometimes in back alleys, sometimes in burning buildings, sometimes in cars stuck in the middle of nowhere. And Sasha had a nagging sense she would not be the exception. If her official due date was in late July, she wouldn't be surprised if fate had different plans. Perhaps something, or someone, would induce labor several weeks ahead of schedule. Perhaps that would be stress. Perhaps it would be an accident. Or perhaps it was the universe's way of reminding her that she had never actually had control. Fireworks of a different kind, the concept lodged in her mind like an unshakable premonition. The 4th of July. It was the type of irony that existence appeared to like. While the rest of the city gathered for fireworks, laughing, and celebrations, she could find herself in the midst of an unexpected emergency. And then there was Jason Morgan. He had willingly gone into this twisted mess, accepting the role of the baby's father. On paper, it made logical. He was revered, feared, and untouchable in ways that no one else was. She had extra security as long as everyone thought he was the father. But what if Jason's involvement in her life became more than simply a cover story? The thought of him delivering her kid was nearly too much to bear. He had saved numerous lives and been in situations that most people would not survive, but could he really be the one to guide her through the most horrific moment of her life? Will he even want to? Or will this be the turning point in their relationship? The weight of the past. Sasha tried to avoid thinking about Liam. I tried not to remember the little, fragile life that had been taken from her before she had a chance to hold him like a mother should. But it was impossible. Every kick she felt, every flutter within her, reminded her of what she had lost previously. And what she could lose again. She hoped that this time would be different. That fate would not be so terrible again. But hope was perilous. Hope had betrayed her before. And as much as she wanted to believe that this child would be different, that she would finally have the opportunity to be a mother, she couldn't shut down the voice in her head that talked about all the things that could go wrong. Will this child also be taken from her? Will she ever be able to feel the genuine, unshakable love between a mother and her child? Was she condemned to have it taken away from her again? A game of secrets and lies. Sasha's mind was still processing what had occurred to Elaine. She had been cautious. She had been so confident that no one would discover the truth. But now, with that investigator probing into her life, she wasn't so certain. The walls were closing in. And if Elaine had pulled so much out of her, what else had she learned? Was she aware that Michael Corinthos was indeed the father? Was she aware that Sasha had been lying to protect him? The notion sent shivers down her spine. Because if Elaine knew the truth, she would not keep it to herself. She'd sell it to the highest bidder. And then everything would come crashing down. The road ahead. Sasha had spent her life fighting battles, some of which she had won, others she had lost. But this was different. She wasn't only battling for herself anymore. She was struggling for the tiny life that was growing inside of her. For the opportunity to become the mother she had always wanted to be. For the hope that, this time, she would not be left with only grief. However, as the days passed and the weight of her falsehoods began to crush her, she couldn't escape the feeling that something was about to happen. Something huge. And once it occurred, there was no turning back. Because, whether she was ready or not, this baby was on the way. And nothing about Port Charles would ever be the same again. Christina Corinthos Davis had always been a lady of strong principles, but her wrath had recently taken on a dangerous edge, alarming even those closest to her. Ava Jerome had always been a source of frustration for Christina, but the recent events at the park had brought things to a new level. Christina saw the attack as sudden, surprising, and horrible. Ava had made a desperate attempt to kidnap Avery Corinthos, and Christina was furious just thinking about it. Elizabeth Baldwin had seen the full force of that rage firsthand. Christina had been like a hurricane unleashed, her emotions raw and her voice quivering with rage that made even the most level-headed bystanders uneasy. This wasn't only about Avery. This wasn't only about Ava. This was about something much deeper, something Christina may not even completely grasp. Christina had always been feisty, passionate, and devoted to her family. But this time, things were different. This time, she was fighting not just for her sister, but also against a ghost that had been haunting her for far too long. She has her own daughter. She had lost a child. It was a deep pain that she rarely talked about. A pain that had seeped into her bones and shaped her in ways she hadn't known. And now, as she saw Ava fight for Avery, something within her snapped. Christina couldn't have her daughter. So why should Ava keep hers? Christina couldn't ignore the thought, even though it was dark and twisted. It was unfair. None of it was fair. And if the universe failed to bring her justice, she might take matters into her own hands. Perhaps Ava needed to suffer. Perhaps Ava needed to know what it was like to lose something so valuable that it crushed you beyond repair. A war brewing in Port Charles. Sonny Corinthos had spent his entire life fighting battles, but this was one he hadn't anticipated. Christina's wrath was escalating, and while her concern for Avery was justified, it was evident that this had turned into something else entirely. Natalia Ramirez had been urging Sonny to find a middle ground with Ava, to resolve things in a way that would not leave wounds on all parties involved. And for once, it appeared that peace may be achievable. If Sonny and Ava could reach an agreement on custody and put their disagreements aside for Avery's sake, that would be the best outcome for everyone concerned. What about Christina? She did not want peace. She wanted war. And she was prepared to go to any length to ensure that Ava was held accountable for her actions. Christina had always had a strong personality, but this was different. She was gripped by a rage that blinded her to everything else, and no one, not her family, not her friends, could seem to get through to her. She didn't care that Sonny's heart issue made him unable to take the additional stress. She didn't care that Elizabeth had cautioned her about the hazards of allowing anger to fester. She just cared about making Ava suffer. And if that required taking matters into her own hands, so be it. A plan that could change everything. Christina has never been patient. She had spent days standing on the sidelines, listening as Sonny and Ava debated a custody agreement, as if Ava had any right to be in Avery's life after what she had done. Christina's mouth clenched whenever she heard Ava's name. How could they even consider granting her shared custody? Didn't anyone notice what she saw? Ava was a manipulator, a liar, and a woman who took what she wanted without regard for the devastation she caused. And if Sonny didn't stop her, Christina would. She only needed to figure out how. A dangerous obsession revenge had taken root in Christina's heart and was developing, twisting into something dark and dangerous. She'd started tiny. A few carefully selected words. Subtle manipulations. Planting seeds of doubt in Sonny's head. But that wasn't enough. She needed something larger. Something that would cause Ava to suffer as she had before. And then an idea formed. It was risky. It was risky. But it could work. All she had to do was wait until the appropriate moment. Christina was not foolish. She understood she needed to be cautious. Ava had too many people watching her back. Christina needed to be strategic in order to make her pay. She began by gathering information. Keeping an eye on Ava's every move. Learning her patterns. Her shortcomings. Then, when the timing was right, she struck. It seemed subtle at first. A phone call led Ava on a wild goose chase. A strategically placed rumor set things in motion. But that was sufficient. Ava was disintegrating. And Christina was only getting started. Christina was aware that she was treading a narrow line. She knew that if Sonny discovered what she was doing, it would crush his heart. She didn't care. Because Sonny did not comprehend. Nobody did. They had not suffered the same losses as she had. They had not experienced the type of pain that made you question all you thought you knew about yourself. And now Ava was ready to experience the misery firsthand. Christina would make certain of it. Christina could sense the tension in the air as everything came to a head. Ava was on edge, determined to prove that she deserved to be in Avery's life. Sonny was split between his daughter's rage and the mother of his child. And Christina? She was ready. But while she stood there, watching everything happen, something within her changed. She had been certain that this was the only way. But suddenly, on the verge of making an irreversible decision, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Doubt. For the first time, she questioned whether it was actually about Ava or herself. Had she let her grief to swallow her so completely that she couldn't recover? Was she about to make a mistake that she couldn't undo? The answer was right in front of her. Christina knew that whatever happened next would change everything. TJ on General Hospital, did Taj Bello hint at GH exit? It feels like a long time since General Hospital watchers have seen TJ on TV. After circumstances between him and Molly deteriorated following the tragic loss of their daughter, the doctor disappeared into a dark hole. Their domestic partnership terminated, and Molly now lives with Alexis. TJ has no plan for the future as she goes about her existence. His departure is surprising given so much has been filmed inside the hospital, namely Michael's burns and Cyrus' continued use of digitalis to kill others. The show appears to have pushed Lucas and Isaiah to the forefront, allowing them to govern the hospital while Elizabeth oversees the nurses. Taj provided insight on 2024 and the work he put into General Hospital. Taj Bello hinted to a General Hospital exit on Instagram, where he discussed what 2024 meant to him and his work on the show. He noted how difficult it was to complete the Irene tale, which involved losing a baby that he and his domestic partner wanted. He stated, "Grieving such enormous loss took all in me, and I'm happy that my work resonated with you all." Taj added, "Playing Dr. TJ Ashford has been a pioneering experience for my profession. Pouring into TJ as he poured into me has been illuminating in many ways." The General Hospital actor was cautious about what came next for TJ, implying that his tenure may be ending. However, he expressed his enthusiasm for the Daytime Emmy Awards. Molly moves on as TJ disappears. The General Hospital writers have been chemistry testing Molly and Cody, and we're not opposed to it. It would be a change of pace to pair by the book Molly with off-the-wall Cody, and it would give the character more personality, which has been lacking in previous years. TJ hasn't been around, but his mother, Jordan, has been out and about, attempting to encourage Sidwell to open up to her. Curtis is going head-to-head with Drew, while Trina is developing a new affair with QB1. the Ashfords have moved on without mentioning TJ and how he's been since his domestic partnership ended. We assume TJ will not return to the small screen very soon, but we hope the authors can make him more than Molly's partner and emphasize on his medical skills. Nancy Lee Grahn of General Hospital has never been angrier in her life. She's returned, but it's not what you expected. Nancy Lee Grahn, star of General Hospital, has never been more upset in her life, and she isn't hiding it. Nancy Lee Grahn of General Hospital has never been more angry in her life. Nancy had promised to leave X for good because of Elon Musk's relationship with President Donald Trump, but she quickly returned. She used the microblogging social media network to vent her dissatisfaction with the current regime. Just this week, the actress stated, "All reputable media should refuse to tolerate Trump's abuse of them and our country. We are at war, and the press should cover it accordingly. They either follow Trump/Musk law or the law of the United States Constitution." If that weren't enough, she also wrote, "Musk and his band of boys who aren't old enough to have developed frontal cortex were given free rein of the U.S. government and have recklessly dismantled our most needed programs and its employees. Their irresponsibility is proving to be both fatal and expensive." GH News, Nancy Lee Grahn is hot and bothered. However, it appears that the actress is equally furious at her own party. She wants something done, but Nancy claims that no one is doing anything about it. The actress tweeted on her Threads account, "Not a word from Clinton, Obama, Biden, or Kamala Harris, whom we have devoted all of our work to. Isn't it time to speak up?" She continued, "Bush has proven incapable of being useful in any way, but at the very least for the others, isn't now the time to be ringing alarm bells and educating this country on what to do to stop the Republican congressional leaders who've agreed to kill us all just so they can keep their power and influence? Isn't it time for the fifth alarm, guys? I firmly believe it is." GH Spoilers, will almost dying bring out Lucky's true feelings for Elizabeth? General Hospital spoilers reveal that Cyrus Renault rushed Elizabeth Baldwin's doorstep with murder in his eyes, only for Lucky Spencer to swoop in and take him down, until his malevolent uncle turned the tables, injecting Lucky with digitalis and causing a frightening heart attack. Now, as Lucky clings to life, will this near-fatal threat push him to confront his genuine love for Elizabeth? Will he make it through this, and if so, will it lead to a new happily ever after for the two? General Hospital spoilers, flashing back. Lucky and Elizabeth were just getting into the Valentine's Day spirit. One thing led to another, and then, lips locked. It's the kind of kiss that can melt even the coldest hearts, and Lucky might just be able to travel back in time to their glory days. Elizabeth was always his sensitive spot, the one who got under his skin like no other. However, their past was not all rose petals and love songs. There was betrayal, heartbreak, and years of separation. Will this kiss reignite the spark that made them Port Charles royalty, or will Lucky step away, remembering why he left in the first place? GH Spoilers, is it love or regret? Lucky has been a rolling stone since he returned to Port Chuck, grappling with who he is and where he belongs. Elizabeth, on the other hand, has established a life for herself without him, raising her boys, working as a nurse, and avoiding trouble most of the time. A Valentine's kiss could be the jolt that reminds Lucky of the family he left behind, pulling at his heartstrings and making him wonder if he still has a chance. But let us not forget that Elizabeth is no longer the starry-eyed girl he once knew. She's tougher now, and that kiss may have left her with a different set of emotions, wondering if she should risk continuing down that route with him again. Will they envision a future with each other, or simply a phantom of what once was? General Hospital spoilers, we never know how much time we have. Cyrus Renault has just thrown a huge wrench into this love story. Cyrus and Lucky got into a heated brawl that went physical, leaving Lucky on the receiving end of a digitalis injection. Lucky is currently struggling for his life after Cyrus went full villain. Will this near-fatal experience add a layer of complication, forcing Lucky and Elizabeth to confront their true emotions? Imagine Elizabeth by his bedside, tears in her eyes, as the kiss remains in her imagination. Will she admit she has never stopped loving him? And if Lucky survives, will the brush with death force him to realize he wants her back, or will it compel him to flee again, fearful of bringing her into further danger? Cyrus may have just ignited the match that either reignites their flame or burns it to ash. Cyrus Renault's confession to being a serial killer contains a major flaw, according to GH Spoilers. General Hospital spoilers claimed that Cyrus Renaud finally confessed on Wednesday, February 18. He revealed the cause for his digitalis killing spree to Elizabeth Baldwin, as well as the answer to everyone's burning question, what motivated him to murder Sam McCall. Still, some admirers noticed a fundamental fault in his confession. Cyrus claims he was doing God's work during Wednesday's show. Cyrus made his way to Elizabeth's home with the intention of killing her in the same way he had killed his other victims. Throughout the confrontation, he revealed the motivation behind his killing spree, including why he killed Sam. It all started with the desire to end his niece Lulu Spencer's misery. As she lay comatose between heaven and earth, Cyrus knew he was doing God's work by alleviating Lulu's suffering. He believed that her family's decision to keep her alive was selfish. This was the reason he fed other victims who were stuck in similar situations. Elizabeth questioned why he killed Sam. After all, she was well and on her road to full recovery following her liver transplant operation. Cyrus explained that it was because Sam stood between him and God's perfect purpose for Lulu. By donating a piece of her liver, Sam was extending Lulu's life in that coma. Cyrus believed Sam should suffer the repercussions of her conduct, so he took action. One flaw in Cyrus' story. Interestingly, while discussing Sam's death, Cyrus said that McCall's murder introduced him to digitalis injections as a technique to let his victims pass away gently. Still, Sam died on Halloween 2024. Meanwhile, another GH patient, an old woman named Sylvie Mullen, was mentioned in the soap's December 30th episode. She died in August after a sudden heart attack, and it was suspected that she had digitalis in her bloodstream. August 2024 is months before Halloween, so did the GH team make a writing error when drafting Cyrus' huge confession? Did you notice the weakness in Cyrus Renaud's confession? Join the conversation below. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.